Assalamu alaikum. With Allah's name, the merciful benefactor, merciful redeemer. I bear witness there is no God except Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad, who received the revelation of the Holy Quran, is the servant of Allah. We greet you, dear beloved believers, with the greetings of peace and the universal language of Allah's holy book, the Holy Quran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Dear believers, it is a pleasure to come before you at this time, and the question that we want to explore in this first program that we're presenting to you is this. After so much protest, after so much marching and demonstration and bloodshed, after meeting with the political officials, the presidents, the senators, and so forth, why is it that the African American community is still on the bottom of society today? Why is it, and what is it that is hindering our success? What is it that is hindering our advancement in human society? I think the best way that I know that we can address this problem is first to give us a little bit of an understanding of who we are as a people here in the 20th, the 21st century, the 19th century even. You see, it should be known that the Civil Rights Movement, formerly it was called the Human Rights Movement. It was not known as the Civil Rights Movement. The name was changed from human rights to civil rights. Now, let me explain to you what that means. And I think I can do that by first describing, the area that I work and the area that I live here in Clark County, Mississippi, as well as Lauderdale County, Mississippi. Wayne County, Jasper County, we worked all over the state here. The life of the African American community, we never considered ourselves beneath anybody. We always considered ourselves at the top of human society. We never felt the need to ask anybody to do for us what we could do for ourselves. This is why I say we saw ourselves as human beings. It was others that questioned that. But we saw ourselves as human beings. When you travel throughout the African American community during that time, during the 60s, even during the 50s, and I'm just describing my part of the state, but it was the same across country. So what I'm giving you is just kind of like a microcosm of the state of affairs of the African American community across the country. We had restaurants in our community. We had clothing stores. We had grocery stores. We had shops. We had little candy stores. We had all of that. We had no need to go outside of our community to patronize other people or to sit at restaurant counters and these kinds of things to integrate schools and so forth. The school that I went to, it was all black. My teachers were black. The advantage in having all of my teachers to be black was that they were from the community. And they had genuine concern in whether I learned my lesson or not. It was like that. They took special care because they knew my parents and my parents knew them. You see. So this is just a microcosm. My hometown is just a microcosm of what happened across the country. I can go on and talk about these things, but I think you kind of get the picture. It wasn't civil rights. We wasn't trying to, force ourselves on anybody. It wasn't about integration. as Brother Malcolm said, our movement is not about integration, nor is it about separation, but it is to be recognized as human beings in this society. That's what the movement was about. In another statement, Brother Malcolm said that the African American community, we should take our cause to the United Nations, because the United Nations, they investigate human abuses and these kind of things, and the abuses that we are suffering under white supremacy here in the United States. We human beings, you see. So then, what is it that happened to us that caused us to stagnate? I remember, maybe a couple of weeks or so, I came into the civil rights movement the exact day after James Chaney, Michael Swarner, and Andrew Goodman went missing. I was in Clark County, Quitman, Mississippi. They were in Lauderdale County, Meridian. And my friend Greg Caslow, a white boy, he came by my house and recruited me. And so I started working for COFO. Eventually, I became project director. But before that, we had a staff meeting in Jackson, in the Lynch Street office. And the staff meeting was called, I'm still new, I didn't know everybody there. I knew Lawrence Guillot and I think Unita Blackwell and a few other people, but I didn't know everybody there because I was still new. And but at that staff meeting, there we met with a group of white young Jewish people, because we had a lot of European, a lot of volunteers that came down south to work on these voter registration projects with us, and they would embed themselves in the African American community, you see. So the decision was made, and I'm just briefing over this due to time, but the decision was made to move the movement from a human rights movement to a civil rights movement. The name was changed from a human rights movement to a civil rights movement. And in changing that name, what made the difference here is this. Instead of us as a community continuing on improving our conditions in our community, because at that time, we had school teachers, we had professional people. You can go to Meridian, Mississippi, and you could see Fifth Avenue, where we had about 3 or 4 square block area where we had doctors and dentists and restaurants and, podiatrists and, we had it going on, such as it was in that time. And potential to even advance that. And I know it was that same way in many other places, not only in Mississippi, but for the African American community across this country. We had the opportunity and the wisdom and the knowledge and the know-how to advance ourselves. E.F. Young Jr., I call him a chemist, didn't know him personally, but they had their own line of cosmetics. Their own line, back in those days, the Youngs had their own line of cosmetics on the market. So we wasn't dealing with Revlon and all these other people, you know what I'm saying? And, these skin color changing creams that they put on you to make your skin lighter, bleach your skin. We had our own people manufacturing our own cosmetics. This was like back in the 50s and 60s, brothers and sisters. So what happened then to change us from that trajectory to where we are now, where we have been regressing? It is because our goals have changed. We started concentrating on political involvement. You see, not getting the message, not knowing that we did not control the political apparatus. We didn't control that. We felt like if we got a black man or a black woman elected to political office, that would be the answer to some of our grievances. We would have them to speak for us, not knowing or not recognizing the fact that when we have our own economic and cultural and community development, if we wanted to put a brother or a sister in political position, we would be economically grounded enough to support them. But as it were, when these young white Jews came and I don't know everything that was discussed. As I say, I was new, but I do know that because I was there. I'm looking at this right before my eyes happening. I didn't have any input. I was just had came into the movement, and it was and this staff meeting was taking place, and the trajectory, the goal was changed from being recognized as human beings to getting involved in political and integrationalist type concern. You see, this is what actually happened. So as long as you are focused on your own community and your own community progress and advancement, you are kind of like somewhat in control. But when you allow others to determine your goal, your destiny, then you lose that control. You begin to dance by their music. You lose your birthright as a human being, because now they can decide who they want you to vote for. They can decide what position that person is seeking in office, no matter if it's the higher or the lower office. They decide on the policies. When you come to the meeting, the agenda, the policy is already set, and all you do is participate in what's already there. You had no participation. You had no hand. You had no voice in deciding the agenda. You had no voice in deciding the policy. Somebody else decided the policy and just told you to come and sit in on the meeting and just be a part of, voice your voice on what has already been determined. That, in a nutshell, is what happened to the civil rights movement, the human rights movement. We moved from seeking to be recognized as human. We could say, oh, look at here. Here's Mr. Charlie Dawn. He has a little old ice cream shop here. We can go over here and get snowballs and ice cream. Here's Mr. Rufus McCree, right here next door to my house. He's the only black man that has built a 2-story hotel. He got room upstairs for people who coming in to work, transits and so forth. Now, on the bottom floor of that hotel that Mr. Rufus McCree, a pioneering black man in Clark County, Mississippi, ancestor, an example for all of us to follow. You see, on the bottom floor of that hotel that he built, there was a restaurant. Right next door to the restaurant, there was a supermarket or grocery store. On the other side of that restaurant, there was a barber shop. On the back, there was a beauty salon and another beauty salon. Across the street, we had Annie Mae Easton and Luke Easton. They had supermarkets also and grocery stores. You want to send your children to buy some candy? Well, go on over to Mr. Luke Easton store. You wanted to get some ice cream or whatever? Go on over to Mr. Charlie Don. What I'm trying to say, brothers and sisters, if you wanted to have hair care products, go on up to Meridian to E.F. Young Jr. If you wanted to go to the dentist, go on up to Meridian. They had a black dentist up there. You know, we had it. We ain't had to go to no other place to get services that we needed. The only time we had to travel outside the black community was when we needed stuff that they didn't have. But we had at least enough to do two things. We had enough, number one, is to increase and to build upon that foundation. And number two, we was conscious enough to know that we are a dignified people. We had control of our own community. But when these Jews came into that meeting and changed the whole code from human rights to civil rights, we put our destiny in the hands of somebody else. And we've been struggling ever since. Been struggling ever since. You see. Oh yeah. Like I say, I was new. But after so many years of reflecting and being educated and seeing, and still in the struggle, I have not stopped. I'm still in the struggle. That's why you're looking at me right now. You see. I was listening to the NPR, Mississippi Public Broadcasting the other day, and they was talking about they got a civil rights museum. A civil rights museum. You know what a museum is? A museum is a place where you got relics, you got things of the past that have been and gone. The only way you know that they were there was because what you used to be has been preserved in a museum. You know, there's no trace of what your struggle was for. And in that civil rights, don't get me wrong, I'm not condemning that. I'm not condemning that. But what I am saying is that, you know, it seemed like we stopped. It seemed like that's as far as we got in our struggle. You see, I mentioned the term birthright. You know, we have a scripture, we have a spiritual situation, dear beloved brothers and sisters. And I was reading in the Bible and the other day, and in the Bible in chapter, I believe this is chapter 25, and I was reading the story of Esau and Jacob. I was reading the story of Esau and Jacob, and it said that Esau and Jacob were twins, and Esau was coming out the womb first, and Jacob came out holding Esau by the heel. And these two brothers, they was always in contention with each other. Esau was the natural man. Esau was the one that they said, the scripture said he had hair over his body. You know what I'm saying? His flesh was red, you know, and he had hair over his body, and he was prone to go into the wilderness to hunt for wild game. While Jacob, he was more studious. He was more studious. And Esau's father loved him more, and Jacob's mother loved him more, because Jacob was more studious. He was the guy who sat at home and reading books and everything, scheming. We say studious, you know, but he was scheming. We know he was scheming, you know. You know, he's been scheming ever since. So anyway, one day while Esau was out hunting, he got hungry and he felt faint. and Jacob had prepared some food, and Esau came up. This is 25 and 30 in the book of Genesis. Genesis 25th chapter and the 30th verse. And Esau said to Jacob, "Feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint." Therefore was his name called Edom. You see. So notice now, he said, "Feed me with that red pottage, that red meat." This term red, it's a play on our passion. It's a play on our enthusiasm into certain things. It's a play on our, our irrational characteristic. You see what I'm saying? It's a play on our lust, our passion, our appetite, unchecked by knowledge. So he didn't say that feed me some of the pottage. He said feed me the red pottage. When he was born, his flesh was red. There's a message here if you follow what I'm saying. So we're talking about the nature of the man, not, when you really think about it, the mindset of the man, you see. Not the skin, but the term red is a play on our desires, our lust, that's why they used to call the prostitute part of town red line. They used to call it red line. We have one of those here equipment too. So Jacob said, "Okay, I'll give you some, Esau, if you sell me your birthright." And Esau, he's the oldest now. What is the birthright? What is the birthright? A birthright can be seen on two levels. A birthright can be seen on the first level as, since you are the oldest sibling, you are the oldest child, then that gives you a little bit of authority among your siblings. It's like if you and your siblings are together and there's a decision that has to be made, y'all take it up in discussion, and you say, "Oh, wait till the oldest one get here, the oldest brother or the oldest sister get here, and let them see what they have to say." So that's your birthright, because you're the oldest. That's your birthright. You are the primary decision maker among your siblings. They respect you for that. That's your birthright. But now there's another birthright that we all have. That birthright is our human right. That birthright is to be respected as human beings. That birthright is to be able to participate in governmental affairs, in community affairs, in social affairs, without fear of retribution from anybody else. That birthright is given to you by Almighty God Allah. Can't no man give you that. But now, when you look to a man to give you that, he can design that that gift to you by whatever means he wants to design it to you by. You see, he can make you work for what's already yours. And this is what happened during the Civil Rights Movement. Our appetite, unchecked by knowledge. We allowed people to come in and change the movement, took it from its original course, its original goal, which was decency and justice, and put it on another course towards something that wasn't even thought of. So now, when you out there marching and demonstrating for the right to vote, you already got a right to vote. You ain't got to go to nobody and ask them. You got to go through the legal changes, and it's going to take some work to do it. Yeah. But they hold that out there in front of you for such a long time, and you die. You go to jail. dogs and water hoses are sick on you. You see, that's a cruel devil. That's a devil that made us do that. Have to go through all of that torment to get what was already ours. A devil would do that kind of stuff. You see. But that's what happened. So we went through all of that. So we struggled. Now there's a plan in this. And let me tell you what the plan is. The plan is this. We gonna make them struggle so hard to get what's already theirs. And then when we finally give it to them, they gonna think that the battle is over. Did you get what I just said? We gonna make them struggle so hard. Oh yeah, we gonna kill a few of them. We gonna put them in jail. We gonna sick the dogs on them. We gonna beat them down. Yeah. But when they finally get to that point, after that struggle, they gonna think they have made it. And when we got the right to vote, all of a sudden, we dropped. The wind was taken out of our wings because we thought that we had made it. We thought that once we got the vote, that we would be in the paradise. You see. We didn't stop to consider that in our struggle to get the right to vote, don't get me wrong now, the right to vote is precious and we should have it. But it was already ours. God gave that to us. That was our birthright. But when we got it finally, they was in control. We were never in control. And we're not in control now. Dear beloved brothers and sisters, I appreciate you for allowing me to come into your homes. Please tune in every Tuesday morning. I know this is early in the morning, but, you know, tune in and support us. 1:30 every Tuesday morning. Pray Allah bless you with the light of understanding. Assalamu alaikum.